So it's picking up where the previous left off with us seeing Exless over Shigaraki, and then he notices there's a machine to the side of him that was protected by like the wires and the encasings and all that stuff. So we don't know what this is, but there's obviously significance to it because it was brought up here. So I assume that maybe this is kind of like a quirk incubator, possibly. Like maybe after Shigaraki wakes up, he'll just start pulling like quirks from there and pulling them to himself. Maybe not, but of course I'm going to go a lot more into Shigaraki towards the end of this video. But also, Exless right here, obviously once Shigaraki wakes up, Exless is done. I mean, I think we can assume so, but I think what's going to happen is that Shigaraki might just take his quirk, like his eye laser quirk, and then that's unfortunately like Exless's purpose in this series is just to be a device to give Shigaraki the eye laser quirk, possibly. Or if that doesn't happen, he just decays him and then he's gone. But either way, it's not looking good. So then we come to Present Mike talking to Yujiko, and we get such valuable exposition in this sequence. I'm loving it. So first of all, Yujiko's talking about the quirk singularity, like the theory that he developed, and it's a very important part of the series because we see that it's enveloping the main characters like Izuku, Eri, and then in this case Shigaraki. Because the whole thing about the quirk singularity, in case you're unaware, is like due to lineage factor, the quirks will keep mixing with new people that are born, down the line, and you're going to become more and more powerful as a result of it. And it's eventually going to get to the point of where you're just like way too powerful, and like society basically crumbles because of that. Like, when Eri is like losing control of her quirk, at the end of the Chisaki arc, it's like essentially like that, but on a much grander scale. So like there's a whole bunch of Aries like freaking out at once, and the world just basically comes to an end. Or that's kind of how I take it. But I mean, that's like the end. But the quirk singularity pertaining to Shigaraki is, this is the way that I see it, is that Yujiko is kind of like forcefully achieving the singularity, like artificially, because what we find out is that he's giving Shigaraki the original All for One. So that's like, he's basically transplanting a lineage into Shigaraki. Therefore, I mean, effectively causing the theory to come true, because that's essentially what Shigaraki is, or he would be proof of. Basically everything that Yujiko said. So this is kind of like everything that Yujiko has been working towards. I mean, also he fell in love with All for One, of course, as we found out his origin, which I'll go into here. But we're essentially looking at his life's work, I guess, because he said it was 70 years ago that he developed it. So for the last 70 years, he's been, working towards the quirk singularity and like making it happen forcibly. And like I said, this is what it is. Shigaraki, he will have like all of the best quirks essentially. And that raises the question like, okay, he has the original All for One, but does that mean that he's become like preloaded with quirks too? Is there like already software on there? Or like I said, maybe there's like a quirk tank incubator that Exless was looking at, and maybe that's how he gets all the quirks. Remains to be seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just automatically came preloaded with quirks. But I mean, either way, he's still ridiculous because he's still going to have decay, awakened decay, regardless. And then the whole collapse of the future thing, like it's said in quotations here, that's also pretty much relating to Shigaraki, because that's what he said that he basically was going to do. Like a couple chapters back when we saw like the full Paranormal Liberation Front like walking in succession, and then there's like the burning dystopian background. That's essentially what this is. I mean, the quirk singularity causes a collapse of the future. Shigaraki being the quirk singularity is collapsing the future. So it all makes sense, at least to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty cool the way that I'm breaking it down to myself. But anyway, let's go further, because the whole like history between him and All for One, like I said, is discovered because Yujiko is revealed to be at least 120 years old. So I guess that's where I guess All for One's age could be, because we already knew that he was over 100 years old, because they established that he had a longevity quirk, which we'll get into here, but also because he frigging existed over 100 years ago at the beginning of Quirk Society. So it appears that Yujiko was also one of those people that existed or just either pre-Quirk or just right at the beginning of the Quirk Society. It's kind of like the Void Century in One Piece. And then, like I said, we find out what the longevity quirk finally is, something that's been talked about for a while now, since we saw All for One. So it's called preservation, and it gives you twice the vitality of others, but at the cost of your athleticism. So this is a weaker quirk than what I thought. I essentially just thought that it was like, you just live forever, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's what you just led to assume. Like somebody had this awesome broken quirk that just basically makes them immortal, unless they die of other causes. But and then the cost of the athleticism, because since All for One had this quirk as well, I guess that means that he didn't have athleticism. But I mean, also that could be one of the reasons why he was so nerfed in the fight against All Might, rather than just him being physically damaged the way that he was. Maybe on top of it, it's because he didn't have his athleticism as well. I mean, I know he had a whole bunch of other quirks, like strength multiplier times 3 or 4, whatever he said, and other things that could make him more agile and whatnot. But this is something to think about. I think that's pretty interesting. So we're coming to Shigaraki's, I suppose, dream sequence, or this could be like some kind of supernatural power that he's tapped into that may be latent in All for One or something. Maybe this could be similar to like the Vestige world that Izuku goes into with One for All, possibly. Remains to be seen, but it's certainly the spectacle. This is one of the best doubles or just spreads I've ever seen in this series. Like Horikoshi really went in on this, and I love to see it. I mean, it's amazing, honestly, in all of battle manga. We're immediately coming to our mind is like Inception, Doctor Strange, but also there's like some Akira influence in there, like the white background with like the lines and the dark hole behind him. That's like straight out of the ending of Akira. Awesome work here from Horikoshi. But also, this is the first time that present Shigaraki is interacting with his family, like something that we've kind of been waiting to see, or at least I've always been interested, like seeing how he would talk to them if he had a chance to, and this is it. And it's also super interesting because like Shigaraki is the main villain of the series, and this is like essential character development for him, and it's so intriguing. We're not supposed to root for the villains, but in the in My Hero and other battle manga, it's difficult not to. I don't know, it's just awesome. I really like this sequence with him like struggling, and him also coming back against his family and crumbling, and then choosing All for One in the end. But then another thing is that this is straight up confirming that the last unaccounted for hand on Shigaraki's previous repertoire is Nana. Which we kind of assumed it was going to be that based on like the secrecy and the significance that was placed on it. Like when All for One pulled it out, it was like in its own box, I'm pretty sure, something like that. And there was the family members that weren't unaccounted for, so therefore process of elimination, it had to be Nana. But still super interesting because we always also wanted to see like how would Nana interact with present day Shigaraki, and pretty much how we expected. But it's just too bad that like he didn't turn around to look at her or say something. I would have liked to see how he would have reacted to seeing her. And also it goes back, it's like, is this like tangible somehow? Maybe is this like a vestige of Nana? Does she exist in that world as well, or is this just a dream? So then he gets shocked by the wire, and I assume that this is going to jolt him back to consciousness. Also, this raises the question, at least in my head, it's like, is this just a coincidence, like just by chance the exposed wiring electrocuted the water and, shocked him? Or now that he's, gone through to the dark side in his dream and, fully accepted All for One, does this mean that he's now somehow conscious and like he made the wire electrocute the water to jolt him into consciousness, possibly? I don't know. I mean, that remains to be seen as well. But when he does come conscious, Izuku is aware of it. So this goes back to, maybe All for One and One for All are all linked somehow in this crazy supernatural vestige world. Goes back to the quirk singularity, these quirks mixing and being super powerful. Originally, it's going to start causing crazy stuff like this. So I don't know. I mean, that's the explanation that I have for Izuku somehow having this premonition that he's coming. And we can assume that it's either All for One or Shigaraki, but they're basically one and the same at this point. Also, for the thumbnail, I called him the new Six Paths Madara because, not because he's as powerful as him, I'm not getting into that bait. I'm just saying, like, the end of the series or the big bad of the series, obtaining like the ultimate power, like when Madara got like the six paths, or when he became the Jinchuriki for the 10 tails. That's pretty much like Shigaraki getting All for One here. He has the ultimate power up, and then he's just going to gain other abilities from like the Rinnegan and all that good stuff. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Let me know what you think about Shigaraki in the comments, and if you like the video, please give it a like. Also, I have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.